Hey guys, this is Naveen here. Welcome back to Naveen Automation Lab. So in the last video, I have shared one 30 days plan for SDET and test automation interview plan. Today, I'm going to cover with the 3-week manual testing interview preparation plan, like what exactly we have to learn with respect to testing, functional testing, and you can say the manual testing. And then I have prepared around 3 weeks of plan. I'm sure that it will help you a lot. People who are having automation experience, but they are lacking in the testing part and the manual testing part, and people who are good in manual testing, but they really want to revise those topics at where exactly I have to prepare well so that at the time of interview also people will wherever people will ask about some really good interview questions with respect to testing, that will help you a lot. So, 3 weeks plan we will talk about. The week one is the fundamental and whatever the theory, the definition, and everything that we have to cover that. So, day one and two start learning with the testing basics. If you already aware of it, that's perfectly fine. There is no harm in revising the topics. But if you are very new in testing and then you are not sure about, let's see the difference between unit testing, integration testing, what do you mean by regression testing, what do you mean by retesting and everything. When we have to perform the UAT and all those things, then you should know about like testing levels, testing principles, verification, validations, basic testing fundamentals. Everyone should know about it. These days, terms like shift left testing and shift right testing. See, I'm not going to give you any theoretical basic stuff. I'm just telling you what exactly we really need practically at a time of interview, which will help you a lot, which is very much required these days. No one is going to ask about the typical bookish knowledge or typical, the definition knowledge between this and that. If I'm asking about let's see unit testing also, integration testing also, people will ask about the real time questions, that what do you mean by unit testing, when you have to perform that, what do you mean by integration, what kind of UAT test cases that you are writing, what are different verification, the validation levels that you are writing. So please prepare in that area. You can search about all these things. There are n number of courses and some really good books are available. Here I'm just presenting all the number of topics bullet wise and the week wise and the day wise so that you can prepare it accordingly. So shift left testing, early testing involvement, what are the different types of testing we have to perform, prevention over detection, because it's not like that, okay, we are getting the bugs after the deployment. When we move it to the production, better we find all the things at the left side, like before releasing in the production. So prevention over detection, it is very important. What is the concept behind this? Why are we doing this? Give me some example in which, in your current project, what kind of shift left testing processes or types that you are using it, which will help you a lot. So developer tester collaboration, test planning in requirement phase. Please improve all the shift left testing part as well. Now the shift right testing, the production monitoring, A/B testing, feature toggles, user feedback analysis, production testing, that we have to perform that. So simple, let's see, try to understand left and right. So if you are here, and then if you go towards right side, it means we are going towards the production side to the deployment. The production is done and now the customer is using it. Now, if you're doing the testing right side, then it will be more expensive. Like you have to do production monitoring, A/B testing, feature toggle, some feature is enabled or not, user feedback analysis, and then the production testing, you have to perform that. So here the scope is very limited. Now the industry moving towards the left side, towards this side, where performance testing, security, functional testing, automation, everything you are doing before releasing to the higher environment and to the production environment. So this shift left is very, very important from this particular midpoint from here, right? So try to understand that what is the difference between shift left and shift right here. Then day three and day four, SDLC and the typical test processes, software development lifecycle. What do you mean by SDLC? What do you mean by STLC? The complete bug lifecycle that you are using currently in your project. Maybe whenever the bug is getting raised and then assigned and fixed, retested, closed, reopen. What are the different typical bug lifecycle in your current project? Which tool that you are using it, Zira or Bugzilla or whatever XYZ tool that you are using it. So just revise all the topics properly, and what exactly the bug lifecycle that you guys are following in your current company, what are the different status, priorities, and everything that you are giving, complete bug description about the bug, everything that you have to prepare well. Your answer should be different from others. That is what you have to make sure, okay? Because everyone knows about all these concepts, what is bug lifecycle and everything, but the more and more practical answers, if you're giving at a time of interview, that will help you a lot. That will make your chances very, very high as compared to others. Then day 5 and 7, start preparing on the test documentation, like test plan components, test strategy, how will you prepare a test scenario, test cases, the checklist and everything. Practice writing test cases using template. There are n number of templates which are available, maybe in some Excel file, maybe Jira template, maybe some other n number of templates, or maybe in your current project also, if you're using the specific template, how can we improve that? The more and more information we put, what is the module name, what is the execution date, complete test logs that you are maintaining over there, the status, pass, fail, and everything, expected result, actual result, test data, all the different columns that you maintain in the test case, you have to mention that there as well. And then the test review process also, you can add it here. Traceability matrix, and then requirement traceability matrix means this is a requirement and these are my test cases that we have completely mapped or not, so that we are not going to miss any specific requirement. So this is what traceability matrix. In my traceability matrix, if I have, let's see, 5 different requirement, R1, R2, R3, R4, and R5. So against R2, R5, how many test cases that we have written? Let's see, we have written T1, T2, T3, up to T20 test cases. So for single R1 test or single R1 requirement, we have, let's say, written 3 test cases. For R2, we have written 5 test cases. For R3, we have written 3 test cases, like that. So this is like one-to-many mapping. This called your requirement traceability matrix. And later on, the same matrix can be mapped with the automation status also, that out of these manual test cases, that T1 to T10 that you have written, how many automation test cases that you have written, right? What are the different methods, or what are the different test automation code that you have written, or test cases that you have written, maybe 30%, 40%. So this overall give you a matrix, the overall traceability matrix, that we have a requirement. These are the manual testing coverage, and this is the automation testing coverage in the third column. In Zero also, you can do that. A typical simple Excel file also, you can prepare that. So you can give the answer like that. If someone is asking you that, what is your test automation coverage? So you can tell that 30% test cases that we have automated so far out of these, 20 test cases or 100 test cases that we have, the complete, the suite of manual test cases. Out of that, 30-40% we have written so far in automation, right? So prepare these, prepare according to these template documentation, everything, prepare that. Then advanced concept and the methodology in the week 2. So this is like week 1 is all about the basic stuff. Then in the week 2, like more little advanced concept like testing techniques, like what do you mean by black box and the white box. In black box also, we have boundary value analysis, and then equivalence partitioning, decision tables, state transition. White box also, that what do you mean by statement coverage, branch coverage, path testing, static analysis, and all those things that you have to use it. I'm not going to cover what is black box and what is white box, but find some really good examples and prepare your notes accordingly. And then at the time of interview also, if someone is asking about what do you mean by white box, how will you perform that, give me one current example in your current company, in your current project, so you can just immediately give the answers at the time of interview. So just write down and jot down all the different, some really good practical examples, you can mention that there. Then the day 10 and 11, agile testing methodologies also, like agile methodology, Scrum framework, sprint testing, sprint. N number of questions people will ask about that. Okay, tell me about the sprint cycle. What is your roles and responsibility in your project sprint? How exactly you guys are planning? What do you mean by what are the different spring ceremonies, meetings that you are attending it? What is your roles? What is your contribution? How exactly you guys are giving the sprint points, user story points, and everything? What do you mean by epic? What do you mean by story? What do you mean by feature? What is the format of features that you guys are writing, or your product manager which is writing? Then are you guys writing the automation also? What is a DoD? What is the definition of done? Like n number of interview questions. Practically, you have to prepare that. Whatever you are doing in your current company, you just need to revise it with the more polished answer. That is more than enough. Test automation basics, in terms of, if you're coming from the manual testing background, but you should know that what exactly test automation team is doing, or what is my roles in that particular sprint for test automation point of view for that particular user story, how many test cases in automation that we have written. CI/CD basics also, you can improve that. You should know about what do you mean by continuous integration, continuous delivery process in the current release process in my current company. DevOps integration with the shift left and right, that plays a very important role. You are a manual tester, you are a tester, but it does not mean that, okay, technically you are not aware about the DevOps integration and what is the role of DevOps or CI/CD in the left and the shift left and the right testing. Because you think about, I told you, right, that this is the midpoint here. And here the shift left means that you are doing security analysis. For example, security scan, automation also, performance also, and then other things also that you are doing, code analysis, everything you are doing. It is part of the DevOps. You're running your API test cases, UI test cases, integration test cases, unit test cases, performance, security, everything you are doing left side. And they all are in the same CI/CD pipeline. And then the production start, the production journey start and the production deployment start. Then it's a different types of testing where we are doing the monitoring and all those things. So everything is actually through a pipeline. So in this pipeline, how many stages are there with respect to DevOps? What is the role of QA and what is your contribution as a QA in that particular DevOps pipeline with respect to shift left and right? You should aware of it. Your job is not about only writing the test cases and execute it. Please raise the bar high. Please make sure that, okay, you are aware of all these things. This is what people are expecting from you as a functional tester. Also, you should aware of it. Functional testing is not about just writing the test cases and doing the testing and raising the bug, but no, what is architecture, what are the different things, what is the release process, what are the different practices that we are following, what is my role, what is my contribution as a tester, as a QA in the team. You should be very well way you have to define at a time of interview so that you can impress at a time of interview that this is what I'm doing and I'm the best candidate, I'm the perfect candidate for this particular profile, right? So just prepare your answers and the questions accordingly so that you will be different from others. Make sure that, see guys, remember, interview is a skill. If you are making sure that, okay, you are a different guy from other 10 candidates who are sitting outside, they're also coming for the interview. If you're different from others, you can crack that interview. This is your offer for sure, right? So this should be the target, that you are the best, you know, more practical, you have more practical and better knowledge as compared to others. This is what you have to, this is how you have to prepare. Okay. Then the test management, day 12 and 14, defect management, complete defect management. How exactly you guys are managing the complete bug life cycle or defect life cycle, which tool, Zira or X-ray or whatever the tool that you are using, or test trail, or maybe Excel file also. If you have any issues with the tool, what is the reason behind that? Why are you using Excel file? Why are you not using other tools? So you should able to answer for that. Maybe it's a budget issue. Maybe the tool people are not comfortable in my team, or maybe some the pricing issue which is there, and then that's why we have a low budget team, or maybe we are just a startup. So we are right now not focusing on these kind of tools, but we are managing the defect complete management, and then maybe some small tool or some open source tool. So give those examples at the time of interview. Test matrices, test estimation, how exactly you are estimating the test case designing and everything, and then how will you run it. Let's see some example, like you are having only 2 days of regression cycle, and then how will you make sure that, okay, you are running the test cases properly. Risk analysis, impact analysis, risk management, very very important, because of this change in the regression cycle, or let's say in the build number 2, some change happened, some changes done by the development team. And then how will you make sure that, what are the risks involved, what are the impact analysis that you have to do, and then because of that change, it should not impact other test cases or other functionalities. So proper regression testing that you are doing with the proper risk analysis and the impact analysis, which is very very important here. Test environment management, very very important interview question. It's not about, okay, no, we are not bothered about the environment, we have only one single environment, and that too also the DevOps team, they are taking care of it. No, it's your environment, you have to test it. So you have a dedicated QA environment, dev team is having a dedicated, let's say, dev environment. In some companies we have dev in the only stage environment and directly in the production. That is also fine, but don't tell at a time of interview we have only one single environment, which is dev. So dev is also testing here and the QA people are also testing here. No, that's a really bad practice. If you're doing it, please don't mention at the time of interview also. Otherwise, they will think that you have no idea about the environment management here. You simple say that, okay, yeah, yes, at the lower side, we have 3, 4 environments. Let's see, for the dev environment, then we have QA environment, then we have a stage environment, and then we have a production environment. In fact, you can enhance this answer by saying that after a stage, we have a dedicated PQA environment, performance QA environment also, which is like almost replica of the production. Because the performance environment, we are checking the performance engineering, the performance testing we are doing on that particular environment, the performance test data and everything are running our script like JMeter or Gatling or any XYZ tool that we are using on that particular environment, so that we can see It's not exactly production, but almost like you can say 80-90% of production environment, because in production we have n number of servers for the load balancing and everything that we cannot maintain in the a PQ environment, but we have set up that environment in such a way so that we can run our performance test cases over there, and we can get the performance issues on that particular environment. So you can explain like that at a time of interview, right? And then the week 3, so once all these things are done, then after the week 3 interview preparation, that is what you have to use it, because this is what more of a practical knowledge. This is whatever we have seen so far in week 1 and week 2, that is more than enough for the manual testing point of view or testing point of view. Then you have to start directly into the interview preparation. You have to start looking into like STAR method practices. STAR method, I told you earlier also, I have a dedicated series on that. Format your experience using what? Like whatever the task will be given to you, you have to divide into 3 parts. First, what is the situation? Task, action, and the result. You can see it over here. Situation, task, action, and result here. This one I'm talking about, right? So this is called STAR, STAR. So this is called, like, people will ask you a problem statement, they will give it to you, a situation based interview question, they will give it to you, and then you have to divide into 2 part. Okay, this is a situation, set the context. Task, describe the channel, that what exactly the channel, I mean the challenge or the problems that you are facing. And action, explain your approach that to mitigate that issue, to improve that particular process or to complete that particular task, what kind of approach that you use there. And share the outcome, that is your result. So you have to divide that part into these 4, I mean that problem into 4 parts, and then give the and present the answers accordingly. Format your experience, whatever the current experience that you are having it in your last 2-3 projects. If you know those things, you don't need to memorize anything. Just present your answer in a more appropriate way, more polished way. That is more than enough here. So let's see some examples that I have given. Top 5 situation based testing questions with the STAR approach. For example, there is a product hotfix scenario, right? The situation is critical bug reported in production payment module. So this is the situation. Now, how will you fix this problem? What kind of activities you will perform, action, and then what were the outcome of that? So task is that investigate, test, and ensure fix within 2 hours. This is the task. And what kind of action that you did? Action, quick impact analysis, created focused test cases, we performed the complete regression testing and coordinated with the DevOps team for the deployment. And then if you really want to add 2-3 more points extra also with respect to action, you can add it here. And then finally, the bug fixed and verify with the SLA, no customer impacted over here. So this is what you have to give at a time of interview also. In fact, sometime what happens, they will give you one assignment, some written assignment also. So whatever the situation based interview question that they are giving, please divide into these 4 parts: situation, task, action, and the result. It will make your answer very impressive at the time of interview. In fact, if they don't mention about the STAR word also, you also mention that, okay, yeah, I always prefer the STAR based approach. Whatever the problem statement is there and whatever the scenario is there, I always divide into situation, task, action, and the result. And then I try to solve that particular problem. This is the approach that I'll always follow to improve to fix the problems and to make sure that, okay, testing is happening on time and testing is happening for the specific bug or feature, right? Another example, let's see, missing requirement scenario. Again, I divide into 4 parts. Situation is that incomplete requirement for the simple login functionality. Task is that complete testing without full requirement, because you don't have requirement much. You don't have the full requirement available, or requirement is not, I mean, completely given to you. It's incomplete. So what is the action? I concluded requirement analysis sessions. This is the action that I did actually in my current company. So this is a perfect example you can give. I created assumption document and then I shared with others. Developed exploratory test cases, username, password, login button, and everything. And then I developed whatever my understanding about the feature and the functionality, and then what are the different test cases we can write. So I wrote all the different 30, 40, 50. You can give certain examples also about the login exploratory test cases that I have written. I validated with the stakeholders, like the business people or maybe PO or XYZ business people. And then we found 3 critical issues before development, saving sprint time. So this is the situation based question. And then this is what this is how I actually resolved, right? Let's take one more example. Test environment conflict, right? Situation is that multiple teams needing same test environment. I am the dev guy, you are the QA guy, some other guy also, and they all want, let's say, same test environment. Task is that manage testing for three features with environment constraints. That we have environment constraint, maybe we have budget issue, or we don't have time to set up the environment, or maybe some other logistic issues or whatever. Action is that we created environment uses schedule, implemented environment restoration plan, because this is a very important interview question for a, you can say, for a lead point of view, test lead or test manager point of view, coordinated with the teams like DevOps team or SRE team for the shared uses, or maybe the development teams also. That if you are doing it, then okay, fine. Once the code is freeze, the QA team will jump in, and then we will start writing the test cases and executing our test cases on that particular environment. So we will share the environment for a specific time, and then we completed all testing within the sprint without any delays or with no delays, right? So this is what test environment conflict situation that we resolved like this. Let's take one more quick example, performance testing emergency. So situation is that performance issue before major release. That is a major thing because we just focused only on the functional part. We did not spend much time on the performance. Identify and resolve performance bottlenecks. That what exactly the problem. These are the top 5 SQL queries are making the problem, or this is the search query, or this is at the API level. We are getting some very late response. So that's why on the UI also the results are not coming properly. And the action is that we created focused performance test scenarios according to the bottlenecks, what exactly the problem. On the basis of that, we created some performance test cases. We did some brainstorming and everything. And then we found these are the most important test cases for the performance testing point of view. And we monitored the system metrics. We prepared some, the load matrix over there. And then we collaborated with the developers. We shared our understanding and our analysis with the developers that, okay, this is the memory uses. And let's see, this is the heap dump. These are the top 5 SQL queries which are making some, bottleneck or something like that. These are the responses that we are getting from the API backends and microservices and everything, which is taking a lot of time. These are the timeout issues that we are getting in the JMeter or something like that. When we execute with the n number of threads, let's say 100 threads or 200 threads or 300 threads, after this particular point of time, and after this particular threshold, virtual users, it has started giving me 404 or some, server crashing issues we were getting it. So we just completed all the performance engineering and task and everything. And then we shared with the developers, and then we collaborated with the developers. And then the result is that improve response time by 40-50%, some numbers that you can give it over here, right? So performance testing emergency also, we did it here for a specific area. Let's take one final example. Regression testing time crunch, like very, very important interview question every time. The situation is that large regression suite and we have a limited time. You have, let's see, 500 test cases, 400 test cases, 1,000 test cases. You have only 2 days instead of 5. So the task is that complete regression testing in 2 days instead of 5. What kind of action? So I just prioritize my test cases, risk-based test cases. These are the most important ones. And the risky based test cases, that prioritization that I have done. And then I just focus only on those test cases first. If I get enough time later on or some time later on, maybe I can focus on the second priority or third priority test cases also. But my most important is that these are the top high priority test cases I have prioritized, and then I'm going to execute that. If you have a test automation, the parallel testing execution or multiple people that they are, testing it. Okay, let's see, out of 150 test cases are the most important one. And then these 50 test cases we have divided among 3 testers. So we are all of them running together, or we have a test automation team also, and we have around 30-40% test automation that is also we have done. And we executed with the tag and everything. With the automation also we did that. And automation critical because automation comes into the picture here. This is where the automation is helping you. You have only 2 days of time, and you have to release it in the market, and the development team, the product manager is just behind you, that when will you finish the testing. Then in that case, the automation comes into the picture. If you have automation in place, you're running, let's say, 30-40% of the test cases through automation, and then you're focusing mainly on the 70% part. And the 70% also, all the risk-based, high priority or medium priority test cases that you are prioritizing and executing first, right? So what is the result? The result is completed critical testing on time, no major issues as such in release, right? So this is what the large regression suite limited time. Because see, try to understand that why I have written no major issues in the release. There could be some minor issue because you could not get enough time to execute the test cases because you have to finish everything in 2 days. You are raising the bug, they are fixing the bug, they will fix it. Again, you have to perform some basic of regression testing and everything. So 2 days are very minimal, are very limited here. So in that case, maybe some minor issue that you could not check and that issue is already there, or maybe some known issues are already there and you're releasing in the production. So that is fine. But there are no major issues in the release. So this is more practical answer at the time of interview if you are giving. Instead of saying, okay, no, we will all the 1,000 test cases we will try to finish within 2 days. How will you do that? Right? We cannot do that. If you have a very huge complex application, 500,000 test cases, you cannot execute that. And let's see, sometimes they will add one flavor that, okay, you are the only guy in the testing team, then what will you do in that case? Right? So just make sure that you're giving more practical answer instead of giving the typical idle answer. Okay. Then the 17 days, 17 and 18 technical practice, that is what you have to do. It means now you have to start practicing on the mock interviews. Mock interviews majorly focusing on the test case writing exercises. People might ask you that, okay, write the test cases for that. See, sometimes people, they do a mistake here, right? Maybe you are one or two, three experienced guy. They will ask you, okay, write the test cases for that. Please don't write unnecessary columns and everything. And then write, focus on the test cases, focus on the scenarios based. These are the positive scenario. These are the edge cases. These are the negative scenarios that I'm going to write, right? You don't need to write all the theory on the paper or on the board. People start writing, okay, fine, step number two, first I log in and do that and this, that. No, focus on the major objective of that particular scenario. Give the complete scenario and scenario outline with the examples, with the test data, and that's it. And what exactly you are expecting, like this. For example, let's see, for the login test cases, I can give you 30, 40, 50 test cases, security wise, performance wise, functionality wise, and number of wrong test data that I'm going to enter in this particular login field and the password field, and how exactly the application is behaving. This is what the test case. So more examples if you're giving with respect to test data, that will help you a lot in that case, right? So bug reporting scenarios, how exactly you reported the bug, what are the challenges that you faced from the dev team, what are the different information that you will write in the bug report, like a screenshot, logs, any kind of SQL query if you really want to mention that. And then if you really want to add like complete end-to-end steps also, we are writing it. Some video recording also, we are giving that with the proper screenshot, with the proper test data that you actually used for that. That is very important. It's not like only one line of reporting we are doing. No, in the bug report, we always write the full description about that. That is what the most important thing expected from the QA team, that your test documentation or the bug documentation is very well documented, with very well informed actually over there. Test plan creation, important, very important. You can just get any number of test plan templates, test strategy template, bug reporting templates, and what are different things: entry criteria, exit criteria, in scope, out of scope, environment details, resource planning, what is the functional testing scope, performance testing, or any kind of automation test plan that you really want to mention in your test plan documentation, improve plan for that. Okay, because at the time of interview, people will ask these kind of questions. I've already mentioned defect analysis, sorry, a life cycle scenario, and database testing concept also, some basic stuff about the SQL, like top 10 interview questions you can go through with that. Difference between primary key and then, a foreign key. And then what is the PLSQL, write some basic query, find the second highest salary from the customer table, from the user table, something like that. And then the SQL joins also, if you improve that, that will help you a lot at a time of interview. Then the day 19 and 21, review and the mock interview. If you really want to have some mock interviews, you can contact me also, or maybe just watch some really good mock interviews online. I'm having around more than 10 mock interviews on my channel. You can go with that as well. You see that, okay, how exactly people are giving the answers and everything. But more and more practical knowledge. I don't believe in the theoretical or bookish knowledge. If you know the things you should know at a time of interview, you have to present your answer more relatively. That is what you are doing in your current company or maybe in your previous company's projects. So give certain examples at a time of interview that will help you a lot, to make an impression, to the interviewer. Review all the concepts once again, whatever you have done from last 20 days, review, revise it, practice a common interview questions. Then you go with the common interview questions, maybe some interview preparations and all those things, documentation, you can go with that. I will attach once again one link over there. You can, if you really want to, find around more than 300 PDFs about the interviews for automation, for performance, for security, for SQL, for manual testing, for Jira, for bug lifecycle, for test plan, for test strategy, like n number of things. I have collected number of PDFs. Okay. And then if you really want to purchase that, it's very minimal, guys, like 495. You just need to pay. This is not just for the money, because otherwise I cannot give you the access, because this is on my academy portal. So you have to pay some minimal amount, and that is what we have set it over there. If you really want to buy that complete course, you can buy that, and then you can just prepare that. We will keep adding. This is only one time payment effort. I mean, one time payment activity. This hardly 495 rupees. You just need to pay, get the course, and then we will keep adding more and more PDFs and ebooks over there. Whenever you find something very interesting or very good, we will keep it out over there. In fact, some really good resume templates also we have uploaded there, so that will help you a lot for sure. Right? Prepare questions for the interviewer also. That is also very important. That, do you have any question? At the time of interview, people will ask. So you have to give the, you should ask the questions to the interviewer, but not unnecessary questions. Right? That, okay, no, like whatever is required. Don't discuss about your salary and all those things, about your position, about your designation, because that is a technical interview. They are not aware of it. They are here just to take your interview. So you talk about their testing processes, what kind of tools that these guys are using, what kind of automation, let's see, for example, automation tools, practices that they are using it, what is the team structure, whom I'll be reporting to, and then what is my roles and responsibility, what exactly you guys are expecting, is it really matching with my expectation or not? Right? So please ask what kind of business, what exactly company is doing, what kind of application it is, what is the user count, the customer count, what is the scalability of that particular application, how scale that you are planning in future to go with that application. So try to ask certain interview questions, I mean, not interview questions, some questions for the interviewer also, not more than two or three. Ask a proper questions which are really really relevant. Don't ask unnecessary irrelevant questions to the interviewer. Review your portfolio and resume. What are the mistakes that I have done? Is it my some examples, if you really want to mention that, your Git repositories, if you really want to mention that, you can go with that. Practice the behavioral star based question that I give it to you, 5 examples. You can add more and more examples. The more practice you do with the situation based question, that will help you a lot over there. I have a full series on the star pattern. You go with that. That will help you a lot. Around 20, 15, 20 questions I have given with respect to star pattern. And then I'm sure that will help you a lot. And then quickly, key tools to learn. So please improve all the important features of Jira, TestRail, Bugzilla, Mantis, SQL basics, SQL for test cases. I mean, there is nothing to learn over there, but what are different columns and everything. APM tools for the shift right testing, and CI/CD tools for the shift left testing. That is what. Please try to focus on these basic tools as well that we use on a daily basis in testing. Interview tips: prepare 2-3 project examples using a star method. Right? In this particular project, what kind of situation that you faced and how did you resolve it? Please try to prepare that, maintain that, write it, and then prepare that, so that at the time of interview, it will be very quick. Right? That, okay, yeah, let me think, and then giving the answer over there. And this is what you have to present your answer. It's not like, okay, at the time of interview, then you are thinking, and then by the time is gone. If you're already prepared, that will help you a lot. Create a testing portfolio. If you have any Git repositories or LinkedIn profile with the sample test cases, you can mention that, or maybe your some blogs or anything if you really want to maintain. That is optional, but if you really want to maintain that, you can do that. Practice explaining technical concepts simply. Diagrams, workflows, components, the way I teach, right, at a time of videos, also in the videos, examples, right? Practical examples. So please practice that. If you're designing about, let's say, some framework also, what are the different components? You are trying to solve a particular problem, so design a workflow, design a use case workflow, a concept, the scenario workflow. If you more and more, if you're able to express at the time of interview in the form of diagrams and more practical knowledge, if you're giving, that will help you a lot at the time of interview. Some people, they know, but they are not able to explain the technical concept in a simple way. Then in that case, they know the things, but still they are not able to crack the interviews. But some people are, they're really good in explaining the things, like me. I'm an average guy, but I know that, okay, I can explain the technical things properly. Then the chances are very high, right? To crack that interview. Review company's product before interview. What exactly company is doing, the product and everything. Go through with that, especially with the startups or maybe some product based companies, that what kind of product that these guys are having it. And then you might ask about certain questions also. It gives a positive impact that, okay, yeah, this guy is already aware of it. I'll give you one quick example. I was taking one interview when I was in sixth. That lady, actually, she downloaded the sixth app, and she found actually 2-3 bugs. And she presented that, okay, Naveen, this is what I have found in your production bug. I downloaded from the iOS app store, and this is the problem that I found. And it was really impressive. And they shared the same feedback to the HR team and other people. And then we actually hired that girl, because it was giving such a nice impact, right? That, okay, yeah, this is the right impression actually. And yeah, this is what she's already aware of it. She's already interested in the product and the domain, right? So keep updated with the testing trends, what is happening in the current market. Don't go with the bookish knowledge on the theoretical knowledge and those typical 10 years back theoretical concepts. No, document shift left and the right testing experience also, which is very, very important these days, which is very much in the trend here as well. So this is about the interview tips. So that's it. Don't try to make it unnecessarily complex. Interview questions about the manual testing interview preparation. I'll share this particular PDF also. And then if you really want to buy that particular course, I'll share that link as well. It's totally up to you, right? And I cannot make it free because this is a system limitation. But if you really want to have it, you can just get it. I'll share the link with you. What do you think about it? If you really want to add some extra things in these points, whatever we have covered, please feel free to mention in the comment section. That will help you others as well. So I wish you all the best. And I'm sure this video and the last video for the technical interview for SDET and 3 weeks manual testing interview preparation plan will help you a lot for your interview preparation. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. Let me know in case of any issues. Thank you, guys.